Well, I think I got it all brought around from out front where FedEx dropped it off. Now I've got everything I need to get to start planting. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm ready to go. Oh, hello there, friends and family. So good to see you again. Pardon my appearance. We've been out here on the property. Well, we actually been unloading some stuff that we got delivered by FedEx today. It was the last piece of the puzzle that we needed to get ready to start planting, which we're hoping to do this afternoon before the next storm comes raging through. But hey, since I've got it out here, let's talk a bit about what I'll be using this year and why, if you want to. Let's take a look at it. So as you can see right here, we've got three different products. Over here to the right, we've got the Espoma organic plant tone, all-purpose plant food for organic gardening. Bigger growth and blooms, all natural, long-lasting. The original organic for flowers, vegetables, trees, and shrubs. And it's got its exclusive biotone formula. And that set me back about $13.97 for an 8-pound bag on Walmart.com. I actually ordered it first because that's been my go-to. But then, a little bit later, I was reading on, and I saw this here, Expert Gardener Organics, vegetable and tomato food. It's got a 3, 5, 6 analysis, and that's, if you don't know what those numbers mean, the first one is for nitrogen, that's 3%. The 5 in the middle is for phosphorus at 5%. And the last one, the 6, is for potassium at 6%. And then it also has enhanced with beneficial microbes too. And then another one of my go-to, and if you have chickens, you don't got to buy it. But I don't have chickens, so I do, and that's this Expert Gardener Organics chicken manure, all natural plant food. It's got a 3-3-2 analysis, natural organic feeding for all vegetables and flowers, formulated with natural and organic nutrients. And that's 3% nitrogen, 3% phosphorus, 2% potassium. And we'll talk a little bit about that too. Just what those numbers mean. Well, let's turn over the back of the Espoma bag and see what it's got to say. Well, actually, let's get to the side and take a look at the guaranteed analysis. You see, this is a 5-3-3 right here. 5% nitrogen, 3% phosphorus, and 3% potassium. You need the nitrogen for your leafy growth and new stems. Now, the 5% nitrogen you need for new growth, leafy green plants. The phosphorus is for the blossoms and the fruit. You want more blossoms, you want more fruit, you want higher in phosphorus. And potassium too, which also helps with your roots. Think root crops like potatoes, carrots, radishes, rutabagas, turnips, all of that. So your high nitrogen feeds your leaves, your stems, and new growth. And there you go. It's got 0.4% of ammoniacal nitrogen. Then it's got 1.6% other water-soluble nitrogen. So 2% of that 5% is water-soluble. Then it's got 3% that's water-insoluble nitrogen, which means that's the slow-release part. And all organics are slow release to some extent. So it's going to take time for that other 3% nitrogen to be available to the plants over the growing season. Available phosphate, 3%. Soluble potash, 3%. Calcium, 5%. Magnesium, 1%. Sulfur, 1%. So it's going to help with maintaining or lowering your pH. My pH tends to run anywhere from about 7 to 7.5. So I do use sulfur to bring my pH down. And here's the inputs. Where do they get all that from? It's derived from feather meal, poultry manure, bone meal, alfalfa meal, green sand, sulfate of potash, and sulfate of potash magnesia. And it's just like it says right here. 3% slow release nitrogen from feather meal, poultry manure, bone meal, and alfalfa meal. And it also contains non-plant food ingredients. And this is what they call their biotone formula. It's got bacilluses in it of 6 different types. For 6 million of bacilluses, which are bacteria that help it all break down and help your soil microbes. Think of it as infusing more microbes and soil benefiting bacteria in your ground. It also has 1% humic acids derived from leonardite. And then 98.9% inert ingredients. Inert as in non-plant food ingredients. So there's that. Good stuff. Now we're going to take a look at the Expert Gardener Organics and see what it all says. Well, it's got 3% total nitrogen, 0.2% ammoniacal nitrogen, 0.2% other water-soluble nitrogen, and this has got 2.6% water-insoluble nitrogen. So this is only going to have 0.4 of 1% of readily available nitrogen. The other 2.6 will be available over time. 5% available phosphate and 6% soluble potash. Now this will help promote more blooms and more root growth and less green growth. And that's a good thing. If you're growing potatoes, carrots, rutabagas, turnips, radishes, any root crop, this is better for it. But it's also better for fruiting vegetables, non-leafy vegetables, such as tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, squash, beans, anything that produces a fruit that you pick off and eat. Yes, it does. Now, will it still work for leafy greens, your lettuces, your cabbages, your broccoli, collards, and all that too? Well, of course. But those are more dependent on the nitrogen than they are the phosphorus and potassium. And it also comes with bacilluses. Soil amending guaranteed analysis, active ingredients, 0.01% microbes. And this is a list of the different types of microbes that are within the mix. And it gives you its input right here. Derived from poultry litter, feather meal, bone meal, sulfate of potash, 2.6% slowly available nitrogen from poultry litter, feather meal, and bone meal. It's also good stuff. But this will be for tomatoes and peppers, my beans, like I say, fruiting vegetables. This is higher in nitrogen and would work better for my collards, my kale, lettuces, spinach, all of that. Leafy producing vegetables in your garden that don't produce fruits that you pick off. And then of course we've got our Expert Garden Organics chicken manure. It's got the 3-3-2. Cleo, you can't be there, baby. Cleo wants to help. What do you think, Cleo? Is that chicken manure good stuff? What do you say? It is? You just won't be with Papa. Well, in a little bit. So why do I get the chicken manure too? Well, you can see. That's a 3-3-2 analysis. 3% nitrogen, 3% phosphorus, 2% potassium. Not so good for root crops, but it's well balanced for leafy green plants, as well as giving boost to blossoming plants. And maybe that better says it when you're looking at that middle number, phosphorus. Phosphorus makes more blooms, i.e. more fruit. It's got a cute little chicken on too. And here, right here's the analysis. Right here. Total nitrogen, 3%. 0.3% ammoniacal nitrogen. 0.3% other water-soluble nitrogen. Understand that 0.6% is what's going to be readily available to your plant. The other 2.4%, the bulk of the nitrogen, even in this, will be doled out to the plant over time, 6 months to a year. 3% available phosphate, 2% soluble potash, 8% calcium, and 0.5% magnesium. 0.1% water soluble magnesium. And there you have it. Those are my 3 go-tos. I always get the Espoma plant tone. I always pick up some chicken manure. And I always pick up some vegetable and tomato food. They're all organic. And I try to stay as organic as I can be. But I'll tell you what, I'm not afraid to use a little synthetic fertilizer from time to time. It always depends on what's on sale, what I can afford, and whether I want to grow food or I don't. Sometimes you got to do just what you got to do. So there you have it. There's my 3 choices of what I'll be using this season and this year. So maybe, let the old man get up here. Maybe you'll tell me, what will you be using this year? Will it be all compost? Will you use some 13-13-13? And that's fine too. Or you're gonna let me know what your favorite organic plant food is. And see, the whole thing here, folks, is if you're gonna eat it, you've got to feed it. So y'all, there it is. That's what I'll be using this year. And I gotta get going and get planting. So I hope you don't mind if that's all I got for you today. But let me know in the comments below the video just what you're using this year. What's your preferred brand? Where do you get it? And how you use it. It ain't much. That's what I got. And it was a good price. The plant tone was $13.97 for an 8-pound bag. The Expert Gardener vegetable and tomato food was $9.97, 8-pound bag. And I think for a 4-pound bag of chicken manure, that was $8.47. All ordered off of Walmart.com. But hey, like I say, I got to get to planting. And I got to get going. The light's starting to fade. So until the kitty crew, you know them all. Spooky, Speedy, Cleo. Sometimes Princess Gracie, the queen of the house. And of course, Fluffy Muffin, Heathcliff too. See you on that next episode of Mr. Tom's Neighborhood. Y'all take care. Stay safe. And may God bless you all as you bless those in your lives. Goodbye for now. And remember, we love you too. Well, guys, let's get this all dragged up to the planting area. Go get the wheelbarrow, Cleo. Spooky, load her up. Let's get the plants in the ground. Okay? Oh, later all. Trying to get my crew going here. We got a plant.